Hey guys, Anna here. Welcome to today's video. We are building a 3x1 bedroom, semi-modern base game only family home in Willow Creek. So we are on the Daisy Hovel lot, which is part of the Foundry Cove street, I guess, in Willow Creek, which is where a lot of the starter homes are. This is one of my favorite lots to build, a kind of like a medium-sized family home. I think that it's just slightly bigger than the starter homes. I think it might be a 30 by 20 potentially. I could be wrong. But yeah, no, it's a good size lot. And today's build, I do unfortunately lose a little bit of footage, so you won't see the decorating of some of the bedrooms or the landscaping, but I definitely show everything else, and you'll see it all in the tour towards the end. So this is kind of, I guess, on theme with all the other builds that we've had this month, where we've had some base game only starter homes. This is base game only. It's not a starter home. I do think it would be fairly affordable though. It is available on the gallery. So my gallery ID is Antoinette44, is in the description below if you'd like to check this house out, maybe download it, play in it, or just, yeah, check it out, along with all of the other builds from this month. I really like the layout of this house. So how I've got it is you walk in, you have this kind of central little hallway, this entry hallway. You then have the door to there is the bathroom, and then you go through into a kitchen and dining. I've been doing that a lot in a lot of my more recent builds, where I kind of cluster the kitchen and the dining together towards at the front of the build. I really like how it looks, and it's very functional with the game because everything is very close together. Then from there you walk through a larger hallway which has two sitting rooms. So you have the main living room, which is a large area which is just off the kitchen, and then you have this front facing almost like sunroom, great room, and this is a beautiful space. So this is what I kind of base this entire home off of. So I found a image on Pinterest, and it was a home that had like a front sunroom, and there was just so much light going into it, and it was a very modern home. And I kind of wanted to emulate something like that, but base game only. And I think I've done a really good job with that. So in that sunroom, you'll see lately, you'll see in a minute, it's a sitting area, there's an easel, there's instruments, there's like a chess table. So there's so much, like, I guess it's just like an activity space or a family room. I don't know really what it would be called. But yeah, anyway, that's what that space is, and that was kind of the inspiration of the build. So I've just kind of spoken over it, but one of the pain points with this particular build was the roofing. I have cut a lot of that out. You haven't seen a lot of that struggle, but there were so many issues with this shape. Just because when I do my roofing, I like to layer, but I like to have all of the, I think they're called crowns, the crown of the roof, I think it's called, to line up. And I really struggled. I couldn't get that to work for me. So in the end, I did have to adapt this, the size of the porches and the shape of the porches to be able to do that. And I think one of the reasons that is a little bit more tricky is because it is a one-storied house. When you have a one-storied house, it's obviously a wider, shell, and the roof pieces do have to be quite large and wide to be able to cover the roof. Whilst in a two-story build, you can really layer and use multiple roof pieces, and it just looks a little bit nicer, and it also has a little bit more dimension to it. But nonetheless, I really love this build, and I've said before, I really enjoy playing in one-story households just because everything is really close together. So a little bit more, on the floor plan. So as I said, you walk through, you have that living room, and then you have the front room, which is really that focal part of the build. You then head through another archway, and that has your main central hallway that leads to the back door, and also allows you access to all three bedrooms in the home. Now, I believe we have a master bedroom, and I think it might be, I can't remember if it's two children's rooms or if there is a toddler or an infant, but I've decorated it that there are two like kids' rooms, but I don't know if one's like a, a toddler's room or whatnot. Anyway, so tons of room, and they're quite spacious, the bedrooms in this build, which I guess they became spacious because of all the changes I had to make with the roof. All right, so we are definitely underway with decorating. So we've kind of done the kitchen. I always start with the kitchen, and I use a lot of filler furniture to be able to kind of get the spacing of the room. So I've done that. The kitchen and the dining pretty much stays the same from what you've seen. And then this entryway, I've gone in with a buffet table, and I've gone in with a Coach handbag. I love that we have these in the base game. Like, there's been so many additions to the base game that just make the builds look a little bit more fancy, I guess. And I do think that the owner of this home, with it being a bit more modern and a bit more, I don't know, sleek, that they would be someone who would own something like that. All right, so we are now into the living room. So I love these. These are my favorite base game couches. They are just a very plain and boring couch, but I feel like when you're doing an everyday build, like a family home, like they just are so suitable. Some of the base game couches that we have aren't that great, in my opinion. I don't think they're that great. I think there's like two that are solid and the rest are just kind of a bit meh. Anyway, I've gone in with a green color, and I think, yeah, I potentially used a little bit of green in the kitchen. Either that or it's complementary to the other colors. So I do think that I go in with a bit of orange, red, yellow. And yeah, as you can see, do I change the, yes. Okay, yellow. So I've gone completely warm tone. Okay. And I think it was because of that floral painting with the yellow from there, but it also complements the brown. Like yellow and brown go really well together. And I think some of that is pulled from the kitchen. So yeah, it's a very spacious living room, and I just love the idea of how it just extends out to this sitting like front room. I'm going on about this front room, but it's like my favorite part of the entire build is this front room. And these couches that I've used here, I think they're almost like, to me, I view them as a bit like outdoorsy. They kind of look like they would be like porch furniture, patio furniture, patio. But I've used them in here just because I wanted to have some sitting, I wanted to have a sitting area, but I didn't want to use like a repeat of the couches from the living room. Plus it's a smaller area. It's a much smaller front area. So as I said, I've got a guitar in there, I've got an easel, I've got a chess table, I've got a speaker, so you can just like so much fun, like so much like entertainment and fun is just in that front part of the house. And then you walk to the back and it's just all bedrooms and the back door. So I did put in a desk because I do like to have a computer in all my builds. I think that it is probably more important to have a computer than it is to have a TV in playing Sims, just in my opinion. But yeah, I've used a lot of I love these end tables. I just use end tables and put plants on them. It's my new thing. If I have a smallish hallway and I'm not sure how to fill it, I do that. All right, so this is the master bedroom. I do in the end put I think I put like a crib in here because I had the space. This master bedroom is massive. And I think if you wanted to, you could probably redo the floor plan and kind of maybe squeeze in an ensuite for the master bedroom, and that would give you a second bedroom, and you could turn this into a 3x2. Or you could or you could like maybe reduce the floor plan and then build a second story, add in a staircase. There's tons of room in the hallway. So as you can see, like this is a very good home in terms of like expansion with your household. So you could start with a smallish household and you could expand into, you know, maybe you build a basement, maybe you build an upstairs, maybe you add an extra bathroom or whatever you need to do. This lot has a ton of room. I would say it's a little bit more vertical, so maybe you would want to expand in a vertical way. It's not very horizontal, so you'd either go up or out to the side if you wanted to do that. All right, so the one bathroom we do have in the house is very spacious as well. As I said, my spacing on this build was a little bit off, but I think that it's okay. Like when you're playing The Sims, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit more room in your more key areas. So yeah, and this is the final room you'll see like speed build decorated. The rest will be going into the tour. So we are live in game, and as I said, I lost the footage. You enter into the living room entryway into the bathroom. Wow, I'm losing my rooms. Into the kitchen, very simple kitchen and dining area. From there, you go into the formal living room and into the front room, which is the focal point of this entire build. I really think it's very sweet in there. Towards the back of the house, you have, of course, your 3 bedrooms, into the master bedroom and into what is a nursery. Yep, so it's a toddler's room. Into a, teens room. That's surprising. And we have a second easel in here as well. You have a study nook, and then you head outside. You have a pool. You have your standard kind of barbecue seating entertaining areas, and you have a monkey bars around the side. So this really is a really good sized family home. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's build. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.